Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host Red. Got a video today from SpoilDit. Shoutouts to our brother trying to make it on YouTube.
Isn't it funny how even when a TV series checks all the socially progressive boxes and still gets cancelled, most of the articles written are about how sad it is, how popular the show was, and how it ended only because of how expensive it was to produce.
Here we go again.
Is this ringing any bells? It might be because they acted this way with The Acolyte. And if it weren't for a billion-dollar deal between Amazon Prime and the Tolkien estate, the abomination that we call the Rings of Power would have been done away with long ago due to embarrassingly low viewership and high cost. At this point, Amazon is just flushing away their money down the toilet with that one.
That's the thing, right? Nowadays, these companies are willing to lose so much money for things that people don't want to watch. I don't get the business model. Like, are these companies not there to make money? Like, pushing this agenda or whatever the hell they're trying to do, what does it really do for them?
Wheel of Time has been cancelled, so no season 4, and once again
I actually don't know this show. Our brother SpoilDit wanted me to cover this, so
hearing about how amazing it was and how it all came down to high production costs. Sure. With past failures like the Rings of Power and The Acolyte, we saw childish accusations by the actors and producers where they blamed audiences for their failure. They made woke propaganda.
I mean, to blame people because they don't want to go watch your shitty videos or movies or shows? Shut up! Like, we vote with our dollars and our attention, and we don't want to give it attention? That means it sucks!
Propaganda, thinly disguised as entertainment, and viewers didn't like it, and they resorted to their name-calling favorites: racist, fascist, bigot, and misogynist. Which makes me wonder once again if any of these folks actually know what those words mean.
They don't.
Isn't that word? I don't think it means what you think it means.
As I researched today's video, I was pleasantly surprised to find that none of the actors or creators of Amazon's The Wheel of Time series resorted to this kind of behavior. Hallelujah, it's an actual miracle. It sounds like most of them feel disappointed, of course, and wish it had continued, but they seem to be handling the situation with grace. No accusations, no ugliness, no name-calling. Wow, good on them. And with this kind of class, I wish them all the success in their careers. This is not the kind of
I mean, that's all people have to do. If your show gets canceled or whatever it is, just take it on the chin. You know, like take some accountability. Yeah, it probably wasn't the greatest. No need to play this victim. Like, oh my God, because I am a woman, or I am colored, or I'm trans, nobody wanted to watch it. And it's just like, well, yeah, we're not into those things. Why would we want to watch it? Because you literally flaunt those things on it.
Sufferable, self-righteous, and angry behavior I've come to expect from any of the woke Hollywood types. Look, I've read the Wheel of Time series. I started back when I was in high school and later finished them during my college years. There are 14 books in the main series and one prequel book. The author, Robert Jordan, died before completing the series, so Brandon Sanderson was brought on board to finish the last 3. It was a fun but challenging series because there was a lot of unfamiliar vocabulary in there, and I needed to consult the Oxford Dictionary over and over.
My man, you know, my lazy ass ain't gonna be doing that.
To get through the first several books. When the TV series came out with season 1, I was thrilled because this was something I could get personally invested in. Looking back now, I understand that 2021 was a year when Hollywood was still at the height of its woke brainwashing campaign intended to change the world into something that deviants, corrupt politicians, and spoiled elitists would be more comfortable in.
I mean, I kind of want to cover the Epstein file stuff because that stuff is blowing my mind. Literally blowing my mind. But I also don't really want to get political on here or anything because, you know, we're just enjoyment, infotainment.
So, while it still makes me sad, I now understand that the Wheel of Time series was just another unfortunate victim of the woke mob, the writers and producers trying their best to break this story and mold it into something it was never intended to be.
I feel like most of the stories that have such a big following and big books behind it and stuff, just follow the books. Make it with the books. People seem to enjoy it more when it's a little bit more in tune with the book.
Toxic feminism.
Everything's toxic now. All of us are toxic.
Quite literally, anything anyone says is toxic.
True.
I know, the word toxic gets thrown around a lot these days, but in the entertainment industry, this accusation has been aimed squarely at the men for the last decade, if not more. And if a show ever deserved to be called out for toxic feminism, it's The Wheel of Time. Let's go back to episode 1. You don't even have to wait 1 minute for the nonsense to start. Here's the opening statement. The world is broken. Many, many years ago, men who were born with great power believed they could cage darkness itself. The arrogance. When they failed, the seas boiled, mountains were swallowed up, cities burned, and the women of the Aes Sedai were left to pick up the pieces. These women remembered one thing above all else, the man who brought the breaking of the world, and they named him Dragon. Now this man has been born again. We don't know where or to whom, if he was reborn as a girl or a boy. The only thing we know for certain is that this child...
Again, I've never watched this show, nor do I actually really care too much about the show, but it's interesting watching some of those things. Just how much feminism and how much in our daily show life, or in our shows that we just want to watch, that they shove this stuff in.
Child is coming of age now, and that we must find them before
like all men are just evil.
Dark does. My gosh. The writers twist up the lore in so many ways here. So let's get it straightened out. Moiraine makes men out to be stupid for attempting to seal the Dark One back in his prison. Really, Moiraine of Amazon Prime Video? How about you try brave and self-sacrificing? The Dark One was going to break out of his prison and fully enter our world, and he would have destroyed everything. Perhaps the men of the Age of Legends should have just let him walk right in and do whatever he wanted, because that would have worked out great. Or would it have been better for both men and women to go fight to seal his prison, and thus condemn both sides of the one power to be tainted for thousands of years so that no one could use it? Let's not forget that it was a group of men and women who let Shaitan out in the first place. Honestly, who wrote these opening lines? Whoever you are, you deserve the walk of shame.
Again, like who wrote it? Probably a woman. Just like a lot of these shows now are having women being the director, producer of these shows, and it's very apparent that these women do not care about entertainment. They just care about shoving in shame.
The next thing was saying that they didn't know if the dragon was going to be reborn as a girl or a boy. Another nonsense statement. The prophecies of the dragon all said it was going to be a man, a he. There was never any possibility of it being otherwise. The concept of the Wheel of Time is that it reincarnates people over and over. It does not, however, reincarnate them into the opposite sex, and never has. The only time a male or female spirit was put into the opposite gender body was when the Dark One personally did so with his highest minions, and that was shortly before the last battle. So no, gender was not a fluid concept with the wheel. Later, Leandrin says the one power is meant only for women, and men make it filthy when they touch it. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. It's the other way around, actually. Saidin and Saidar are completely separate from one another, with each one specifically dedicated to either male or female. A man is perfectly fine until he touches Saidin, which is itself already tainted, and the power's filthiness infects the man and drives him crazy. So it was
Lust. Sounds like lust.
a backwards nonsense statement from a supposedly fully trained Aes Sedai. Blah. It's She-Hulk woman power baloney. But what else would we expect from a sister of the Red Aja? Moiraine later says, words matter, and how we use them matters. Soon after, she also says he or she when referring to the dragon prophecy. And everyone kept talking all...
Everybody just want to make things so ambiguous. And like the storytelling was already been told in the book that people enjoyed. Why rewrite it?
Through season 1 about the dragon possibly being a he or she. Moiraine spoke as though Egwene or even Nynaeve could be one of the possibilities for the dragon reborn. She does all this despite the fact that the prophecy was always specifically about a man of Aiel blood. There was never any iffiness about which of the Two Rivers boys was going to be the dragon, and it was never going to be a woman. His Aiel heritage made Rand stand out from the rest of his community. But I guess the wool-headed writers of this show decided that the idea simply wasn't inclusive enough. Again, men and women are not interchangeable. Even
They're
in this
not.
fantasy world, men and women had different roles and abilities. Trying to make them interchangeable just makes it impossible to show that anyone was actually unique. For example, Brigitte, a hero of the Horn, was unique because she was as tough and coarse as any man could ever be, and peerless in her archery. She stood out because she was different from other women, but she can only be seen as different when male characters are allowed to be masculine in general and female characters are allowed to be feminine in general. This story wasn't a 14-book series about how men are bad and women are good. Put simply, some things happened in the past which caused the power structure of the world to be shaped as it is in the present. So that you don't condemn the Wheel of Time books or the world that Robert Jordan created, you need to know the real lore that the TV series should have been based on. The lore makes more sense. During the Age of Legends, a group of men and women who were too powerful for their own good opened a hole between the Dark One's realm and ours. Why? Who knows? These jerks thought it would get them more power or immortality or something if they went full dark side, even though it then made them slaves to the Dark One, which meant less freedom and thus less power over their situation. I suspect there may be a lesson in that for all of us, yes? In order to save the world, the most powerful male channeler, aka the dragon, Luz Theron Telamon, took a group of his friends, the 100 companions, all male, and they fought the Dark One and succeeded in placing a seal over the entrance to his realm, as well as trapping the Forsaken who'd attempted
somehow I got blamed that men screwed the world up.
to let him fully into our world. The bad news was that by using the male half of the One Power to fight the Dark Lord, the male power called Sidene came into direct contact with this malignant force of nature and was tainted. The men could no longer use it without taking in a poison from Shaitan himself, and after prolonged exposure, it always drove the male Aes Sedai insane. After losing their marbles, these super powerful men began attacking everyone and everything around them, friend and foe alike, and the world was broken as everything descended.
Damn, this sounds like a pretty badass story. Just listening to everything. Shout outs to SpoilDit.
Into chaos. Eventually, these men were all killed or died out, and ever since then, it was up to the female users of the One Power to re-establish order and put down any new male channelers that were discovered. That part of the show's intro was correct. With a situation like this, it's no wonder that a female-dominated White Tower would spring into being and try to have its hand in the running and maintenance of all nations. So it wasn't because women were somehow superior that they became the most powerful rulers in the world of the Wheel of Time. It was literally the only direction the world could go in order to save themselves from the madness and destruction caused by the corrupted Sidene. The Amerlin seat and the White Tower was always a center for powerful women. That's part of the story, and that's okay. Did some of the countries like Andor, for example, have female rulers? Yes, but there were also male rulers so long as they couldn't channel the One Power. What was the real lesson about gender? Did some of the people and characters become woman-centric and man-hating? Yes, especially, and most often, the Aes Sedai of the Red Aja, whose sole mission was to protect the world from male channelers. Some of them did it because they realized the necessity and importance of that mission. Others did it because of bad life experiences that left them just hating all men. Hey, it happens sometimes in real life, right? But now, just imagine one of these bitter women having superpowers and just waiting for the chance to use it and take out their anger on someone else.
Cooked!
That was horrible.
However, the books didn't push the idea that there was something inherently wrong with all men. In fact, the book series has a lot of fun showing the push and pull between men and women, with their varying strengths, weaknesses, and idiosyncrasies, almost like a lighthearted and very funny battle of the sexes. It made it a delight to follow all the differing relationships between the characters. There were some Aes Sedai, like Sisters of the Green Aja, who absolutely loved men and worked closely with them. If anything, the Wheel of Time book series showed how both sides have a lot to offer and how the best results happen because of cooperation. By the end of the series, pretty much all of the characters have realized that the most significant achievements in their world are brought about by men and women working closely together in harmony. This is how their society rose to its greatest height during the
America much? Men and women working together to create one of the best nations in the world? What?
Age of Legends, linking men and women together so that they could accomplish anything they set their minds to, which is a simple yet powerful concept from which our real-world societies could actually benefit.
Yeah, I know my content's changing slightly, sometimes covering women content and there's fuckery is just draining and daunting on me, so Shout out to SpoilDit. He sent me this video and it was like, hey, Red, check it out. You know, I'm a big fan. I'm like, hey, I appreciate you. And I'm going to feature this video for you because I want men to do well too. I want you to be success. I told the man I'm proud of. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time. Ciao.